Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a story of survival, revenge, and the heavy burden of duty. And the narrative wastes no time plunging you into a world rife with political intrigue and personal peril. Our protagonist, Henry, finds himself once again caught in the crossfire of noble machinations, shifting alliances, and brutal warfare. And this game does an admirable job of recapping the key events of the first title, all while reintroducing characters both old and new that enrich the sprawling tapestry of medieval Bohemia. And the storytelling is one of the game's strongest suits, from the high-stakes diplomatic encounters to moments of genuine personal loss and triumph. Every twist is a tale of the feels earned, and its dialogue is sharp and at times laced with dark humor. Whether you're brokering alliances with wary nobles or getting embroiled in bizarre side adventures, there's a palpable sense of consequence in every decision you make, even if the weight of these decisions occasionally feel uneven in later stages of the narrative. And the game's open world is a masterclass in environmental storytelling. Set against the backdrop of the Czech Republic's lush forests, rolling meadows, and meticulously reconstructed medieval towns, this game invites you to lose yourself in the vast living world. Every cobble street, every misty forest path, and every bustling market square is brimming with detail, making exploration feel both rewarding and organic. And the side quests are not merely filters here, they are bribing baguettes of life in Bohemia. Whether it's escorting a distraught noble on a mission of honor, investigating eerie occurrences in the forgotten hamlet, or even helping out a cast of characters with problems only a medieval world could conjure. Every quest has its own distinct flavor, and even when tasked with the most mundane chores, the attention to pure detail elevates these moments into immersive experiences that remind you of the game's commitment to realism. And for those who revel in the challenge of true simulation, the game delivers a gameplay experience that's as unforgiving as it is authentic. The game's core mechanics are a refined continuation of the Sims-like elements that define the first installment. You must manage everything from hunger to fatigue to weapon maintenance and social reputation, and every action carries weight and consequence. For me, the combat system is a standout for both its ambition and its occasional clunkiness. It requires you to be mindful of your camera angles, careful with your parries, and execute directional strikes to feel both visceral and strategic. The thrill of countering an opponent 3 times in quick success showcases the potential for epic moments when your skills align in the game's mechanics. However, the system is not without its flaws. Early on, the learning curve could be steep, and the camera's dual role as both the combat director and an environmental guide often leads to frustrating disconnects, especially when juggling multiple enemies or navigating in tight spaces. Warhorse Studios has invested heavily into creating a world that feels both expansive and meticulously detailed, and the game strikes a commendable balance between graphical fidelity and performance. For me, this game's an 8.5 out of 10, and it's a game I can easily recommend to all of you. It's a triumph of historical role-playing that builds on every strength of its predecessor, all while daring to refine its rough edges. So if you're a fan of RPGs, or someone looking to get into them, this is a game I can easily recommend to you. Firaxis returns with Civilization 7, a bold evolution that dares to shake up traditions. One of the biggest departures from the past Civilization games is the separation of leaders from civilization. No longer do you have to pick a cip and commit to its identity for the entire game. Instead, now you choose a leader, and your civilization evolves as you progress to different ages. For me, this dynamic approach allows for greater strategic flexibility and historical flavor. And another radical addition is the implementation of ages. So rather than the seamless timeline, Civilization 7 divides each campaign into 3 defined eras: Antiquity, Exploration, and Modern. And each one of these ages acts as a soft reset: territories, diplomatic standings, and global event shifts, forcing you to reevaluate your strategies. And while this might feel restrictive at first, it's offset by the legacy paths, and these paths determine how your civilization transitions between ages. Want a scientific victory? Then you'll need to focus on libraries and academic early on, then double down on housing specialists in the middle game, and then finally, race to be the first into space. Legacy path ensures that the choices made early in the game have lasting consequences and prevent late game steamrolls and keep every match competitive. Under the hood, Civilization 7 redefines the mechanics that make forward strategy so addictive. Movement between turns is snappier than ever, and its map is even more alive, with natural disasters like volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, and floods actively reshaping the terrain. The city management is streamlined all thanks to the new settlement system. Instead of overwhelming micromanagement, towns now serve as lower maintenance support hubs for your main cities, ensuring the expansion remains engaging rather than tedious. In districts, a fan favorite feature from Civ 6 returns in a simpler, more accessible form. And of course, what's a Civ game without conflict? Combat in this game feels more fluid than ever. Army commanders let you stack up units and issue coordinate strikes. Battleships form devastating blockades. Artillery units can launch synchronized bombardments, and defensive fortifications can turn the tide of war. But not all battles are fought in the battlefield. Diplomacy sees a new major overhaul with influence, a new resource that replaces traditional goal-based negotiations. Influence dictates trade deals, scientific alliances, and even war support. While this system makes AI behavior more transparent, it also limits the depth of peace treaties. No more buying or selling settlements, which feels like a step backwards for long-time players. And yes, Civilization 7 is the best looking Civ game to date. The art direction blends realism with the signature Civ style, resulting in a visually stunning world, and the interface is cleaner and more intuitive, making the information even easier to digest. Animations for leaders are expressive, and the world itself feels alive, with terrain evolving dynamically over time. For me, this game's an 8.5 out of 10, and it's a game I can easily recommend to you, especially if you're already a Civ fan. Whether you're a longtime fan of rhythm games, or just looking for something new to tap your toes to, Rift of the NecroDancer has a lot to offer. In this title, you're engaging in intense rhythm battles that borrow from the likes of Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Its core gameplay involves pressing directional buttons in time with the music to defeat enemies that scroll down towards you. And each enemy type has unique rhythmic patterns. Green slimes are simple, but bats and skeletons switch lanes and require multiple hits. And what's fascinating is how each monster feels like a musical note they have to play to progress. The rhythm combat requires both quick reflexes and mental agility, and often can make you feel like you're sight-reading sheet music. In this game, you have 10 health points, and missing beats results in damage. But the game offers ways to recover, such as eating food on beat or activating an invisibility mode called Bite Power when you chain down perfect sequences. And this for me adds layers of strategy and turn each level into a tactical rhythm battle. And visually, the game looks great, and the character designs are charming and memorable, with smooth animations that help to keep you immersed. The music is what steals the show, as it features over 30 original tracks, and the soundtrack spans genres from smooth jazz to heavy metal, each one complementing the gameplay perfectly. And the soundtrack isn't just background music, it's the pulse of the game, setting the rhythm to dictate your every move. And the story follows Cadence as she battles through rift-spawn monsters to thwart the evil NecroDancer. The narrative is simple and serves mostly as a vehicle for the gameplay. It's filled with charming dialogue and lighthearted moments that attach a personality. And this game offers multiple difficulty settings, from easy to the aptly named impossible mode, and the learning curve can be steep, especially with the various enemy types and their unique rhythm patterns. However, the challenge is part of the appeal, and this game also features daily challenges, remixes, and global leaderboards offer plenty of reasons to come back. For me, this game's an 8.5 out of 10, and it's a game I can easily recommend to all of you, as it captures the essence of rhythm games while adding a unique twist. And whether you're a fan of the genre or new to it, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. When Goblin Slayer first hit the anime scene, it quickly caught the attention with its dark themes, intense action, and no-hold-barred approach to the fantasy genre. And while it didn't revolutionize anime, it clearly left an impression. And now fast forward to 2024, and the franchise has expanded into the world of video games, with Goblin Slayer, Another Adventure, Nightmare Feast. And this original story serves as a tactical RPG, SRPG experience, with a healthy mix of visual novel storytelling, and from the very first moment you step into the game, it's clear that it leans heavily on its storytelling. If you're familiar with the Goblin Slayer universe, you'll feel right at home here. However, if you're not, this game does a solid job of introducing you into its world. You'll step into the shoes of a young woman taking over her late father's role as the head of the local adventure guild. The plot involves building up the guild, recruiting a rag team of adventurers, and tackling missions until, of course, you thrust into a much larger plot that ties everything together. The game's story isn't groundbreaking, but it does provide enough intrigue to keep you invested. The narrative is paced with significant portions of exposition, particularly early on, and this might be a hurdle for those not immediately hooked on the premise. But for fans of the anime and the light novel, there's a fair amount of lore and world building that should hit the right notes. The game explores deeper facets of the Goblin Slayer universe, giving you more context and nuance to the familiar events and characters. It's not just a rehash of the anime, it's an expansion. And the cast is filled with both new and returning faces. And the voice acting, though entirely in Japanese, is top-notch. The characters are given their own moments to shine, with unique personalities and motivations that make them stand out. However, this game tends to overemphasize dialogue, with some sections dragging on longer than necessary. The frequent burst of text-heavy sequences can be tedious, especially when you just want to get back into the action. This is where the visual novel aspect sometimes undermines the pacing of the game. That said, this game does well in delivering a cohesive, engaging story for those who are willing to invest in its slower build-up. And at its core, the game is a tactical RPG. If you've played other games like Disgaea or Fire Emblem, you'll feel right at home here. The game uses an isometric grid, where you can control a party of adventurers, each one having their own strengths and weaknesses of course, and the mechanics are relatively straightforward and make the game accessible to newcomers of the genre, but there's enough depth here for more experienced players to keep engaged. You are tasked with carefully positioning your character on the battlefield, using the terrain to your advantage and balancing attack, magic, and item usage. And one unique aspect is the ability to set traps and lure enemies into it. It's a satisfying mechanic, but executing it requires careful planning and patience, particularly on more complex maps. The combat itself is a test of strategy. You'll need to be careful considering your position to avoid being overwhelmed. Enemies are often much stronger than your characters, especially early on in the game, so preparing the tactics are key.
and the difficulty here can be punishing, particularly if you make a mistake. Losing a single character due to poor positioning can be a huge setback, and in early stages where you have limited resources and abilities, the game can feel particularly challenging. The balance of the game is tricky. While it offers a good challenge, the constant threat of failure can sometimes feel overwhelming. And visually, this game shines in certain areas, particularly its character design. Its detailed character art and animations are a highlight, and make each character feel distinct. However, the overall presentation is a bit of a mixed bag. The combat environments are decent, but they often feel repetitive. And while the character portraits are fine, they can use more variety. And its music complements the game well, as it maintains a mood that fits the tone of the story. There are moments of tension, moments of lightheartedness, and occasionally some risky themes that the fans of the source material will recognize. It's a fitting soundtrack, though it doesn't stand out as one of the best in the genre. For me, this game's a 7.5 out of 10. It's a niche game. There's no doubt about that. It caters especially to fans of tactical RPGs and the Goblin Slayer universe. And if you fall into either one of these characters, you'll definitely enjoy this game. Big Helmet Hero doesn't aim to tell an epic emotional charge tale. Instead, it offers us simply a charming narrative. A peaceful kingdom is thrown into chaos when a massive dragon sweeps in, kidnapping the princess and sparking a wide rescue mission. The story is relayed entirely through beautiful animated cutscenes, starting with an opening sequence that rivals AAA productions in polish, and then it shifts to simpler, hand-drawn interludes. And the result is a light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek adventure that doesn't take itself too serious, but it manages to engage you from start to finish. And when it comes to the gameplay, this game delivers a classic beat-em-up experience, but with a twist, as you control a diverse roster of heroes, each one belonging to one of 4 distinct classes: warrior, a brute, rogues, and monks. And each one comes equipped with light attack, heavy attack, a dodge roll, and of course, a unique special move that can decimate hordes of enemies. And for me, one of the game's standout features is the ability to swap between different knights on the fly in single-player mode, as this not only encourages strategic play, but it also adds variety as you adapt to different enemy types and environmental challenges. And the levels range from side-scrolling brawls with environmental puzzles and branching paths to top-down maze sections bringing with twists, traps, and secret collectibles. And if you're someone who prefers to team up, then the local 2-player co-op mode is tailor-made for you. But unfortunately, there is no online multiplayer option yet. When it comes to its visuals, the game's art style blends a playful, cartoonish vibe with meticulous attention to detail. However, I do recommend you skip the Nintendo Switch version, as it runs at a lower resolution compared to the dazzling 4K experience on PS5 and Xbox Series X. And its sound design further reinforces its quirky charm. The music might not be groundbreaking, but it fits perfectly with the game's lighthearted tone and the retro inspirations. But is this a game worth picking up? In my opinion, absolutely. For me, the game's an 8 out of 10, and it's a modern brawler that doesn't shy away from its retro inspirations, all while infusing enough originality and humor to stand out in a crowded genre. And whether you're looking for an engaging solo action or a fun cooperative experience with a friend, the game delivers a delightful mix of over-the-top combat, stunning visuals, and a story that's as charming as it is unpretentious. If you've played the game, did you like it? Would you recommend it? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.
The title While Waiting isn't your typical run-of-the-mill game. Instead, it celebrates one of the most overlooked aspects: waiting. Spanning 100 meticulously crafted levels, this game takes you on a journey that mirrors the human experience. From the innocent mischief of childhood to the bittersweet realities of adulthood, and eventually, the inevitable quiet of our final moments. At its core, the game is about exploration of time itself. Each level represents a distinct waiting scenario. You might find yourself as a child, anxiously fidgeting while mother cooks dinner, or later, engaging in surreal escapades like navigating a shrinking device or even dodging demons in an absurd elevator ride. These moments, though seamlessly mundane, are packed with unexpected humor, philosophical musings, and a playful twist that forces you to confront the nature of idle time. And one of the most striking aspects of this game is its art style, as the game employs a minimalist, hand-drawn aesthetic that feels both charming and evocative. Each scene is crafted with an eye for detail, and complementing the visuals is a beautifully curated soundtrack dominated by soft, classical-inspired music. This calming audio backdrop not only hides the reflective nature of the game, but it also creates a meditative atmosphere. This game is built on a deceptively simple concept. The game presents you with a lot of objectives at the start of each level, ranging from straightforward, do nothing, to more interactive and mischievous challenges. You might be tasked with flipping through social media during a commercial break, or even sneaking a painful act of rebellion. And for me, what truly sets this game apart is its dual nature. On one hand, it offers a meditative experience, where simply watching the scene unfold is a valid and even rewarding strategy. And on the other, it teases your sense of mischief and allows you to interact with the environments in unexpected ways. Whether you're deliberately causing chaos by rebooting the neighbor's computer in an office setting, or merely observing as life takes by, every decision you make is a commentary on how we feel our idle moments. Beyond its playful mechanics,
The game is also an introspective journey into the human condition. The narrative unfolds silently, with the environments and the progression of levels telling the story of one person's life. And as you traverse from one stage to the next, you're not just playing a game, you're experiencing the universal rhythm of waiting, the anticipation of something new, and the realization that even our quietest moments are imbued with meaning. For me, this game is an 8 out of 10. If you're someone who's chasing relentless action, this game might not be for you. But for those willing to appreciate the beauty of a pause, it's an experience that resonates on both a personal and philosophical level. Set in the richly detailed world of Aurora, this first-person RPG is a love letter to the classic role-playing experiences while also daring to reimagine them for a modern audience. Avowed transports you into a mysterious island known as the Living Lands, a frontier steeped in conflict, vibrant with diverse cultures, and now under siege by the sinister Dream Scourger. And you play as Envoy, a chosen one born as a godlike, who is marked by an unusual fungal facial feature. And this affliction isn't merely cosmetic, as it hints at a deeper connection to Aurora's myriad deities, and it sets the stage for a narrative filled with intrigue, moral ambiguity, and far-reaching consequences. The narrative unfolds as you navigate through the volatile politics of the Living Lands, and your presence is both a blessing and a curse, and it invites suspicion and hope in equal measures. And as you may have guessed it, Obsidian's strength in storytelling is evident here. Choice matters, and every decision ripples through the world. And this game doesn't shy away from the difficult moral dilemmas, forcing you to weigh compassion against duty. And the game's endings and narrative structure feel safe, and this measured approach ensures that every decision feels significant. From a gameplay standpoint, this game offers a robust and flexible system that rewards experimentation, and the game blends elements of classic RPGs with modern action, providing multiple avenues for character development. You'll start out by choosing one of 3 archetypes, a fighter, ranger, or wizard, but the system is fluid enough to allow hybrid builds. For instance, you might prefer a playstyle that combines the rapid-fire precision of guns with the elemental chaos of spellcasting. One of the standout mechanics in this dual weapon system is that you can effortlessly swap between your primary and secondary loadout mid-combat, a feature that not only keeps battle dynamic, but it allows for creative tactical play. And exploration in this game is a major pillar. Although this game isn't an endless open world, its map is divided into several meticulously crafted open zones, and each one of these zones stands in side quests, hidden treasures, environmental puzzles, and lore-rich encounters. And its inventory system is streamlined. You can instantly upload items to your camp storage, ensuring that the focus remains on the adventure rather than micromanagement. Oh, and its companion system also deserves some mention. With up to 2 companions active at any time from a roster of 4 unique characters, your party not only assists in combat, but it also enriches the narrative. And the Living Lands is as enchanting as it is dangerous, as every zone from the sun-drenched coastal cities to the mysterious overgrown ruins feels handcrafted. Obsidian have imbued each area with distinct visual flair, using a bright color palette that contrasts the beauty of nature with the corruption of influence of the Dream Scourger. And while the world at times can feel a touch segmented, and the enemy types may feel repetitive, the overall experience of exploration is highly rewarding. When it comes to its visuals, the attention in detail is evident, especially when it comes to details in ambient effects, lighting, and the way the weather changes across different zones. However, the character models and animations occasionally do feel a bit dated, and while Avowed isn't trying to reinvent the RPG wheel, it's refining it with confidence and polish that only Obsidian can deliver. It's an immersive, flexible, and engaging experience that offers a wealth of narrative depth and tactical combat, and while it might not satisfy every purist craving an unbridled open world experience, it stands out as a testament to Obsidian's mastery in crafting memorable role-playing adventures. This game's an 8 out of 10, and it's a great RPG that I can recommend to all of you. Afterlove AP tells the story of Rama, a young guitarist living in modern-day Jakarta, whose world is upended by the unexpected death of his girlfriend, Sinta. From the outset, the game pulls you into a deeply personal narrative. Rama's grief is palpable. Not only does he battle the tangible loss of a loved one, but he's haunted by Sinta's lingering voice, echoing in his head. Is she a spectral remnant of his past, or just a figment of his tortured imagination? This ambiguous presence is central to the game's emotional core, challenging you to question how we process love and memory. For me, this game's greatest strength is the setting. The game transforms Jakarta into a vibrant, living character of its own, drawing inspiration from the city's real-life landmarks and the cultural nuances. And the game's environments are rendered in gorgeous, manga-inspired art, and whether you're wandering through the bustling streets, exploring quaint cafes, or catching a glimpse of hidden alleyways, every frame feels meticulously crafted to invoke the pulse of Jakarta.
This attention to detail not only grounds the narrative in a tangible world, but it also enhances the bittersweet atmosphere that permeates Jama's journey. And accompanying this evocative setting is a soulful soundtrack. The music plays a crucial role in conveying the game's themes. Melancholic guitar lines weave through moments of introspection, capturing the delicate balance between sorrow and hope. The soundtrack is a standout feature, imbuing each scene with emotional weight that lingers long after the gameplay ends. It's not just background noise, it's an integral part to the storytelling that underscores Rama's inner turmoil and gradual path towards healing. Now moving on to the gameplay. This game is primarily a narrative-driven experience, where you're given control over Rama's daily choice during a crucial month leading up to the defined band gig, with each day allowing you two actions, one in the morning and one in the evening, forcing you to weigh your options carefully. You spend the day reminiscing of the past, exploring the city, or perhaps engaging in small, meaningful interactions that might pave the way to new relationships. In addition to the branching dialogue and exploration, the game features rhythm-based minigames during band practices. While these segments offer a welcome challenge of pace, their execution is relatively basic. The prompts scroll across the screen from both sides, and although the songs themselves are engaging, the mechanics feel somewhat underdeveloped. If you're a die-hard rhythm game fan, you might feel these sections to be a bit too simplistic. However, they do complement the overall narrative, emphasizing that for Rama, music isn't just a hobby, it's a lifeline. Afterlove EP is an emotional roller coaster. It's a game that has deep questions about how we hold on to what we love, and whether true healing is ever really possible. And the narrative is enriched with multiple perspectives you encounter along the way. From friends urging Rama to move on, to the ever-present and sometimes jarring commentary of Sinta's ghostly voice. However, this game does have some flaws. Despite a compelling cast of characters and beautifully panned dialogue, it's challenging to become fully invested in Rama's journey. His characterization, along with the execution of Sinta's spectral interruptions, occasionally veers into territory that feels more frustrating than poignant, and the constant narrative detours and the underwhelming rhythm game elements can sometimes sap the emotional impact of what could have been a heart-wrenching tale. For me, this game's a 7 out of 10. It's a game that may not satisfy those looking for robust gameplay mechanics or a deep rhythm game challenge, but if you're a fan of narrative-driven adventures, especially if you're someone looking for an introspective journey through love and grief, as its title might strike a chord. Urban Myths. At the heart of this supernatural mystery is Asami Fukarai, third-year college student turned reluctant investigator at the Urban Myth Dissolution Center. With her ability to perceive memories left behind in places, she's thrown headfirst into cases involving cursed objects, digital hauntings, and urban myths that may be more than what they seem. This episodic structure works wonders, and it allows for a deep world-building pacing that keeps you on edge, and the twists hit harder than you expect. But for me, what truly makes this game stand out is the way it blends horror with humor and heart. One moment you're deciphering a ghost's cryptic message, the next you're laughing at Asami's dry wit or Jasmine's over-the-top reactions, and then you're hiding under a bed, heart pounding as an X-building figure searches the room. This game leans heavily on narrative and investigation. You'll gather evidence, analyze social media trends, and interact with the cast of intriguing characters, all while piecing together each case. What sets this game apart? Our ability to see the past through special glasses, and this mechanic transforms investigations, making them more than just a pixel haunting. It's immersive, eerie, and it adds a layer of supernatural depth to the detective work. That said, the game is incredibly forgiving. There aren't any penalties for making a mistake, and puzzles rarely pose a challenge, and while that makes a smoother story experience, it leaves you craving more complexity. Now, moving on to the art style, the pixel art creates a haunting atmosphere that feels like stepping into a cursed manga. Flashes of red punctuate the horror moments, amplifying the tension, and the character designs are expressive, detailed, and instantly memorable. And its soundtrack is phenomenal. A mix of sci-fi synths, unsettling drones, and pulse-pounding beats that fit every mood perfectly. There's even a jig pop track that somehow doesn't feel out of place. However, this game is not perfect, and the voice acting isn't that great. This game's a 7.5 out of 10, and at $18, this game delivers a gripping narrative that lingers long after you put the game down. And if you're a fan of horror, detective stories, or just love the idea of getting lost in urban legends, this is a game I can easily recommend to all of you. In Slender Threads, you're drawn into the enigmatic seaside town of Villa Ventana, a place where everyday life mingles with paranormal omens, eerie visions, and surreal encounters. From its atmospheric narrative to its uniquely blended visuals, this game offers an experience that is as unsettling as it is endearing. And the narrative is the beating heart of the game. Our everyman protagonist finds himself plunged by recurring nightmares, vivid, haunting scenes in which his head is displayed as if it was part of a grimy trophy collection. And this macabre motive sets the stage for a story steeped in both existential dread and tongue-in-cheek commentary. And as Harvey traverses the winded streets, he encounters a host of quirky and mysterious characters, from a suspicious sheriff who seems to know a little more than he should, to the enigmatic figures like Lena, whose role in unraveling the town's dark secret becomes increasingly vital. The story expertly walks the tightropes between horror and comedy, subtly questioning fate and personal relationship, all while keeping you guessing until the very end. In moments of genuine suspense are interspersed with wry, unexpected quip, making every twist feel both thrilling and refreshingly human. One of the game's standout features is its visual presentation. This game employs a 3D diorama-like art style that fuses hand-painted 2D character animations with richly detailed 3D environments. And complementing these visuals is an original score that swings effortlessly between eerie and uplifting, and sets the perfect mood for both moments of introspection and heart-pounding suspense. Also, this game's cursor smartly changes icons depending on where you can examine, pick up, or even converse with the objects or characters, and combining inventory items is achieved through a simple drag and drop mechanic. And while most puzzles lean towards the straightforward side, there are moments that require a bit more thought, and even when you get stuck, its built-in hint system offers gentle nudges without outright spoiling the mystery. This game's an 8 out of 10, so if you're a point-and-click fan, then this game is totally worth your time. In Samsa Side, you traverse a world where the sun has stood still, angels have descended, signalizing the end of times, and your journey as Ezekiel, a sin collector, is one of faith, guilt, and redemption. And as he confronts formidable enemies and makes moral decisions that shape the world's future, the narrative delves deep into themes of suffering, hope, and twisted morality, challenging you to navigate a complex and immersive storyline. And the game emphasizes melee combat and requires you to master spatial and directional awareness. The combat mechanics are designed to be challenging, with a focus on timing and precision. You can collect and reforge unkosher items, adding a layer of strategy to the gameplay. And the roguelike elements ensure that each run is unique, with death serving as a learning tool and allowing you to adapt and grow stronger with every attempt. And this game presents a dark and atmospheric world, with environments that effectively convey the desolation of the apocalypse. While the surroundings are detailed and immersive, the character models lack the same level of polish and appear less refined in comparison. However, the audio complements the settings with a haunting soundtrack that underscores the game's somber themes. The game is pretty good, but there are some areas that require some attention, such as the combat fluidity and character animations. In my opinion, Samsa Side offers a compelling journey through a post-apocalyptic world, blending challenging combat with a narrative that explores profound themes. And while there are some aspects that need refinement, the game's foundation holds promise. And for anyone interested in a dark, melee-focused roguelite experience, they'll find Samsa Side to be a worthy addition to their library. Trails Through Daybreak 2 picks up just 2 months after the dramatic conclusion of its predecessor, and our protagonist, Ben Arkwriter, is once again at the center of the sprawling mystery, and this time he's charged with tracking down the final Genesis device, a relic created by the enigmatic Professor Epstein that holds unsettling ties to the Crimson Grendel. The Grendel, eerily reminiscent of Ban's own monstrous alter ego, serves as both a thematic mirror and a formidable adversary, challenging Ban not only to confront the external threats, but the darker aspects of his own legacy. The narrative of this game is ambitious. Familiar faces from the previous Trails titles reappear, while new party members like Swain and Nadia attempt to broaden the story's emotional scope. For many fans, moments of heartfelt character interactions, such as Eren's witty aside or Shizuma's laid-back charm, are the series' very lifeblood. Yet despite these shining instances, the game's storytelling falters in crucial areas, and the introduction of time rewinding mechanics, wherein the characters can relive events to aberrant disasters, initially seems innovative. But in practice, however, repeated choose, rewatch, and retry sequences, especially in Act 3, saps the narrative's momentum, and what could have been an engaging exploration of fate and consequence ultimately feels like a forced repetitive loop that undermines the game's emotional stakes. This game continues to build upon the hybrid combat formula that made the first Daybreak a fan favorite. The system seamlessly blends real-time action with strategic turn-based mechanics, and many of you will appreciate the refinements introduced in the sequel. New quick arts allow for in-field casting and tactical elements such as the cross-charger counters, and the X skill delivers satisfying team-up attacks that reward careful positioning and timing. The depth of the combat system is undeniable, offering a multitude of choices for characters, customization, and strategic play. Plus, this game expands on non-combat offerings with a variety of minigames. However, not all the minigames hit the mark, with some feeling more like filler than genuine enhancements to the overall experience. For die-hard Trails enthusiasts, the sequel offers enough compelling moments, strategic gameplay to warrant a playthrough. But if you're new to the series, consider starting with an earlier entry, as the narrative depth and interconnected lore of Trails are best appreciated with the proper context. And this game for me is a 7 out of 10. It's a good game that I could recommend to fans of the series, but if you've never played a Trails game before, unfortunately, this might not be the game for you. Bar Tycoon does not waste any time introducing you to his bizarre but surprisingly engaging premise. Instead of the typical tycoon setting, like theme parks or city building, this time around, you're running a bar. But not just any kind of bar. This is a haven for the undead, a sanctuary where vampires indulge in their thirst for blood, alongside drinks in a world teeming with darkness and eccentricity. And from the moment you start playing this game, the visual style grabs your attention, as the graphics are bright, cartoonish, and full of life, which is not what you expect from a game set in a world full of vampires. The color palette embraces deep reds, purples, and blacks, blending to a gothic and ominous ambience to your blood-splattered empire. And the animations are smooth and add a playful tone to the overall experience. And the soundtrack complements the visuals perfectly, with a blend of spooky, whimsical tunes and eerie sound effects like clinks of glasses and the squelch of blood. And the music never overstays its welcome, but constantly reinforces the game's fun atmosphere. It's clear that the developers put a lot of effort into crafting a consistent, immersive world that's both entertaining and appropriately offbeat. And at its core, this game is all about managing a bar. But it's not just as simple as serving drinks, as you need to navigate a web of interconnected systems to ensure your establishment thrives. The literal lifeblood of your business is, of course, blood, and you have several ways of acquiring it, including hiring willing donors, invested in blood farms, or even venturing in the city under cover of night to collect supplies. And different vampires have different tastes, so you'll need to cater to specific blood types in order to keep them satisfied. Some might prefer rare blood, while others more low-key, and managing the blood resource is crucial. Run out, and your customers will get cranky, which then leads to the demise of your business. And building your bar is a fun and flexible part of the gameplay. You start small, but as your business grows, so does your establishment, and in time you'll unlock new rooms such as lounges, dance floors, and the laboratories for creating new blood cocktails. The customization options are quite extensive. However, each room, while visually unique, functions the same in terms of gameplay. And while this helps with the ease of management, it could have been nice to see more functional variety in how each room impacts the customer experience. And you need to understand your customers, as some might want specific blood types, while others prefer a quiet or cozy atmosphere, and there will be a few that just want to dance the night away. It's important for you to match the right blood with the right vampire, and maintain a good relationship with your customers, as happy customers spend more, leave more positive reviews, and return more often, ensuring a steady flow of business. Managing staff is another layer of complexity, as you need to hire bartenders, waiters, blood simulators, and security personnel, and you'll need to manage their morals and wages. After all, a happy staff is a productive staff. And to stay ahead of the competition, you'll need to invest in R&D, and this allows you to discover new blood cocktails, upgrade the equipment, or even innovate new ways to acquire blood. It's an essential part of maintaining a competitive edge, especially as you expand your empire. And occasionally, the game throws events and challenges your way, things like blood shortages, vampire festivals, or even rogue investigators looking to shut down your operations. And these challenges can be stressful, but can provide an extra layer of gameplay. And of course, no game is without flaws. And unfortunately, while this game offers a lot of variety in terms of bar construction and customer management, certain systems like the staff management and research could have more depth, and the user interface can feel a bit cumbersome at times, as navigating menus and managing resources isn't always intuitive. And one of the most annoying issues is the lack of a warning system when you perform an action that could have unintended consequences, like accidentally deleting a crucial part of your bar. It's a small flaw, but it can be a hassle. For me, this game's a 7.5 out of 10, and if you're a fan of simulation games or love the idea of managing a bar of vampires, then this is a game definitely worth checking out. Ambulance Life, a paramedic simulator, aims to immerse you in the fast-paced, pressure-filled life of an emergency medical responder, and you're tasked with responding to 911 calls, racing through traffic in your ambulance, and performing critical treatment to save lives. The premise is as ambitious as it is unique, giving you a glimpse into the world of EMS through a simulation that blends driving, strategy, and hands-on medical procedure. Despite its potential, the game's current state is a mixed bag of promise and frustration. Your journey begins with selecting your character from a diverse cast of paramedics embarking on your time shifts. And initially you start off with 15-minute shifts, which gradually extend as you unlock more content. And during each shift, you respond to emergency callouts, navigating your ambulance through busy streets, guided by a minimap and detailed objectives. And once you arrive on the scene, you are faced with the critical task of assessing and treating patients. This game employs a triage system, color-coded labels ranging from green to black, which help you prioritize care. And you gather information by questioning patients and witnesses, though many of the dialogues can feel repetitive. The real challenge comes in the treating phase. You engage in mini-games to simulate procedures like bandaging wounds, administering injections, and monitoring vital signs. And although the minigames can add a layer of interactivity, they can also be a double-edged sword. While they simulate the tension and precision required in real-life emergencies, they sometimes feel overly mechanical, especially when you're limited to treating only one patient per call-out. This restriction becomes particularly noticeable during catastrophic events where multiple casualties await your aid. And as you progress through the game, you'll unlock additional districts and treatments, adding complexity to scenarios. Yet, the overall loop can start to feel repetitive after several hours. And visually, this game sports a bright, almost cartoonish aesthetic that fits its energetic theme. The environments are well designed and can be clear and accessible, with a focus on maintaining readability even in high-pressure situations. Unfortunately, this clarity is often undermined by a host of graphical glitches. Textures may load slowly or even fail to appear at all, and buildings often don't render correctly. Also, the character models can look eerie similar due to the reused facial animations. And on the audio side, the game does a decent job of capturing the urgency of an emergency situation. There's realistic siren sounds and an urban soundscapes to help set the scene, though the ambient audio and the voice acting can feel a bit generic and inconsistent. And while the sound design supports the game's atmosphere, it isn't enough to overcome the visual shortcomings. And unfortunately, when it comes to the performance, the game has significant frame drops, lags, and even crashes. And these technical hiccups do detract from the otherwise engaging concept, leaving the overall experience feeling unpolished and rushed. For me, this game's a 6 out of 10. It's an okay game with tremendous potential. Unfortunately, it's a game I cannot recommend to any of you, not even if you're a fan of simulation games. But if you've played it, did you like it? Would you recommend it? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.